Our top story this hour, the first in-person Quad meeting is all set to take place on the 24th of this month. US President Joe Biden, whose international reputation has taken a hit, will be hosting the leaders of Japan, Australia and India at the White House. The White House has issued a statement on the same. The United States has said that hosting the leaders of the Quad shows Biden-Harris administration's priority of engaging in the Indo-Pacific in order to meet the challenges of the 21st century. Now, the statement pointed that the focus of the summit will be on deepening ties and advancing practical cooperation on multiple areas. Discussions are expected to take place on promoting a free and open Indo-Pacific in the face of Chinese threat and combating COVID-19, addressing the climate crisis, partnering on emerging technologies in cyberspace. Biden's Indo-Pacific coordinator Kurt Campbell has said in July that the long-planned in-person meeting should bring decisive commitments on vaccine diplomacy and infrastructure. Japanese media has stated that any talks between the four countries would likely also touch on Afghanistan, as well as also offer a chance to present a united front before a G20 meeting in Rome in October. The summit is being seen as a challenge to China and an alternative to the traditional G20 meeting. The announcement by the White House has confirmed the much-awaited visit of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the United States. What we do know so far about Prime Minister Modi's tentative schedule is that he is expected to hold bilateral with US President Joe Biden on the 23rd. This will be the first in-person meet between the two leaders since the change of guard in Washington. And on 25th of September, he will be traveling to New York for the United Nations General Assembly High-Level Week. Now, he is expected to address this session and will also focus on the UN reforms, climate change, COVID crisis and vaccine counter-terror. Now, some references can be expected on Afghanistan as well. Now, just 2 days back, India and Australia had rebuffed Chinese criticism of the Quad. China had referred to Quad as the Asian NATO. Indian Foreign Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that Chinese criticism is a misrepresentation of the facts and asserted that the Quad is focused on non-military issues unlike NATO. His views were echoed by Australian Foreign Minister, who said that the Quad members are champions of ASEAN centrality. Remember, a virtual meeting of the Quad leaders was held in March this year. They pledged to work closely on COVID-19, vaccines and climate to ensure a free and open Indo-Pacific in the face of challenges from Beijing. The diplomatic grouping dubbed the Quad or Quadrilateral Security Dialogue was first formed in 2007 and has been holding regular meetings since 2019. Now, it is also seen as a bid to counterbalance China's growing economic and military reach in the Asia-Pacific region. Now, for more on this, we're now being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal from New Delhi. Siddhant, thank you for joining us. Let's just start by talking about some of the key areas of discussion at the Quad meet.
Well, the key areas of discussion at the Quad meet will be on several issues, whether it's COVID crisis, humanitarian support amidst natural disaster. Indo-Pacific has seen aggressive China. These are the key areas, natural key areas between these four countries. But official announcement has come when it comes to the first in-person Quad leaders meeting. We know that when it comes to Quad, this is something that was on the anvil for a long time. In fact, date is something that was being discussed, talked about, in fact, mentioned in the public media reports as well. But now official confirmation has come as to when the Quad happens. Washington will be the host of the first Quad Leaders Summit. We know that it is expected to now become an annual feature. That means that India is also expected to host Quad Leaders Summit in next 4 years' time. So, number of key issues on the agenda during this year's Quad leaders meeting, and a kind of solidification of almost a 20-year-long process, given the fact that Quad essentially emerged after the 2004 tsunami that hit the Indian Ocean region, and since then there have been on and off developments, sometimes half-hearted, sometimes concerted effort, but now in a sense this is a new reality of this century.
Right, Siddhant. Also, as we know, President Joe Biden's reputation took quite a hit following the troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. Now, the White House has issued a statement saying that hosting the leaders of the Quad shows the Biden and Harris administration's priority of engaging in the Indo-Pacific in order to meet the challenges of the 21st century. How do you assess this?
Well, when it comes to America's priorities, it was given that America is slowly shifting its focus from Afghanistan to the Indo-Pacific, and that was, in a sense, being talked about as one of the reasons for the haste in which the Americans wanted to leave Afghanistan. As they say, America never loses war; it gets bored of wars, and that is why things happen. But that is part of the geopolitical talk show. But largely, if you look at the focus of the Biden administration, it has been Indo-Pacific. It has been a continuous process from Trump administration to the Biden administration. And essentially, there were, in fact, speculations as well. Many might not remember now that in December, in early January, it was being speculated that Biden might not be very eager when it comes to Quad or maybe ties with India, the warmth that was shared during the Trump administration. But he went a step ahead, and we saw Quad, in a sense, solidifying with that summit that came just a few months after he taking the oath in Washington. The virtual summit on 12th of March, and now the in-person meeting happening. So essentially, when it comes to the priorities of the Biden administration, this is one of the key priorities, and this coming at a time when China has been very aggressive with the countries in the region, whether it's India, Australia, Japan. In fact, all Quad countries have been impacted majorly in some way or another because of the Chinese aggressive policies.
Right, Siddhant. Also, Prime Minister Modi, like I mentioned earlier, will be holding a bilateral conversation with US President Joe Biden on the 23rd. This is their first in-person meeting, followed by the change of guard in Washington, and then he is to visit the UN General Assembly. Following that, what can you tell us about that?
Well, so far, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs has announced only two things. One is the Quad Summit, which is going to happen on 24th. And then, of course, is the UNGA visit of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where there will be several focus areas. But talking about the bilateral visit, there hasn't been any official announcement so far by the MEA. But we do expect the official announcement to happen in coming few days. And this, of course, will be the first in-person meeting between the two leaders. We know that earlier, the two leaders have been engaging with each other. There have been a number of phone conversations, but also the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi participating in two key events. One is the Quad virtual meeting, which happened on 12th of March, and also President Biden's climate change summit that happened earlier this year as well. And we have seen increased engagement in terms of US and India under the Biden administration in terms of the high-level visits, whether it is the US Defense Secretary, first US officials, the Biden administration official to visit New Delhi, Anthony Blinken. In fact, John Kerry is in the city as well. He just held his bilateral with the Indian Environment Minister yesterday, his second visit to India. And if you look at the trajectory of India-US relationship, they have been talking about shared partnership, shared values, and that essentially is at the heart, at the core of this relationship between Washington and New Delhi, whether it's the Clinton administration, Bush administration, Obama administration, Trump administration, now the Biden administration. There has been a progressive warmth and, of course, partnership in almost every sector between India and the US.
Right, Siddhant. All right, Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us with all those inputs. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.